Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more defensive testing, I guess. We can't really call this load a slug or a buckshot. It's definitely a combination of both. So I guess we'll just go with defensive testing for today. But either way, we've definitely got a pretty interesting thing out here to test, and one that I'm absolutely curious to see how it performs through the different chokes we have out here. So for the shell I've got here today, I brought out some of these. The Winchester Defender shells. Now these are the shells that have the slug and the 3 double-aught buck pellets in the same shell here. So kind of a stacked load or a duplex kind of load or something like that. These are a 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch shell moving about 1150 feet per second. And here on the back, you can see that the 3 double-aught buck pellets are up front, and then there's your slug, and supposedly it is a 1 ounce slug. And on the top here you can kind of see what they're supposed to look like, where you have your slug in the middle and your 3 pellets around, kind of like a star or a triangle shape. So will they actually perform like that? I don't know, but we're gonna find out and see one way or the other. Now, as for our setup today, I brought out the Remington 1187 again here. But as for chokes, we're going to kind of do another sort of what choke is best for type of scenario here. So that leads me into kind of our test and how I want to at least start with these shells. So for today, I kind of want to test these through all the normal chokes. So your cylinder bore, improved cylinder, modified, and full choke, to see what they actually do or if anything changes with the choke constriction. That will allow us to kind of figure out what choke might work best with these shells, and we can continue our testing from there as far as accuracy or how those double-aught buck pellets might open up the group a little bit as we get farther ranges or anything like that. But for today, I want to test them through all 4 different chokes and see what performs well and what doesn't, or if there's any difference at all. So with that being said, I figured we'll set up at 10 yards since these do have a slug. It's a little bit farther than the 7-yard distance, but it's not quite what I would consider mid-range just yet. It's kind of the in-between number and should at least allow us to see what is going on here. So we'll shoot around through the cylinder, the improved cylinder, the modified, and the full choke at 10 yards and see what kind of patterns and groupings we get. And of course, I have the chronograph as well, so we'll be able to get our velocity and see how close it is to their box claim. So with that being said, let's go over here, get you guys a view of the target, and we'll start off with our cylinder bore choke at 10 yards and see what kind of grouping we actually get out of these combination shells. All right, so let's take a quick look at our cylinder bore here, and this is the performance that we did get. Now, it looks pretty much exactly like what's on the box. We had our slug impact right in the white dot there, with our 3 double-aught buck pellets surrounding it, and the cylinder bore choke at 10 yards did give us 9 1/4 inches, and that's from the left buckshot pellet hole to that top right buckshot pellet hole. So a little bit larger as for the buckshot spread than what I would kind of really like personally, but it is just the cylinder bore choke as well. So will changing the choke make any difference in this load whatsoever? I don't know. But let's throw the improved cylinder choke in the gun and shoot another pattern over at that top right circle and see if anything improves or gets worse or stays exactly the same as what it is. All right, so let's take another quick look at our improved cylinder group here, and this is what it gave us. Now, we kind of had a little bit of an odd spread, or at least not exactly what we saw the first time over there, or what the box kind of shows. Our slug may have drifted a touch right, but I think more than likely the pellets just didn't exactly line up with where they quite intended to go on that one for whatever reason. But our spread did decrease from 9 1/4 over there to 5 inches over here. It's just not quite as even or as pretty looking, I guess, as that first pattern. So on one hand, we definitely improved, but on the other hand, pattern isn't perfect at the same time either. So let's stay at 10 yards. We'll put the modified choke in the gun now, and we'll take a shot down there at the bottom left and see if it gets any better or if it gets worse. But let's throw that modified in and see what happens. All right, so our modified choke ended up giving us that group down there, which is a 6-inch spread. So we did open up 1 inch over our improved cylinder group, and it still isn't exactly as perfect as what the box says or what our cylinder bore choke has given us here. So I don't think we really saw too drastic of a change between an improved cylinder and a modified choke necessarily, but let's throw the full choke in the gun and just see what it looks like, or what it gives us anyway. After seeing the last two groups, I don't know that we're necessarily going to have much improvement, but we'll throw that full choke in and shoot around just purely to see what it can give us. All right, so there's our full choke and what we had for performance. And I think we've kind of reached the constriction maximum here after that modified choke. As you can see, our buckshot spread gave us 6.25, which is starting to go back up again after we went from a 5-inch in the improved cylinder to a 6 and now a 6.25 in the full. So I think the modified choke into the full choke range is about the constriction limit for these and still have some kind of decent performance. And I should mention, these are just your regular lead rifled slug, so nothing fancy. And if you had a full choke, obviously you can shoot it through that just fine. Perfectly safe to do so. But all in all here, by the numbers alone, our improved cylinder won as far as spread goes. However, our cylinder bore clearly won on the looks department, I'd say. That's exactly how the box shows it to be performing, and that's pretty much as close to a perfect pattern as you can really get as far as looks go. Yes, it is the largest of the spread here, but these are a defensive oriented loading that is probably kind of sort of designed for your shorter barrel defensive shotguns that pretty much always have a cylinder bore, no choke at all. So for what they designed it for and what they designed it to do, which is probably that cylinder bore up there, it pretty much matched exactly what they said it was going to do. All right, so let's take a quick look through our chronograph numbers here and see what it gave us. The box was claiming 1150, and chances are they probably tested that through a little bit shorter defensive style shotgun. However, even though I have a longer field barrel, I don't think we ever actually saw 1150. But let's go through and see what the actual numbers did tell us. So for a high, it gave us 1095. For a low, it gave us 1019. That gave us an average of 1056. An extreme spread of 76, and a standard deviation of 33. So with our average being 1056, that's what, 94 feet per second under their box claim, which I would have expected to at least see our box claim out of a setup like this anyway. But here are the energy numbers up on the screen for the slug projectile moving at that kind of speed. You can add a little bit more potentially with the couple buckshot pellets if they were to impact the intended target, but we didn't quite hit their box claim in this scenario anyway. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that performance right over there? Definitely pretty interesting. And it's absolutely always good to see exactly what the box is showing, or claiming anyway, with that cylinder bore choke there. In the looks department, that thing looks beautiful. It's exactly what they claim and show on the box. And if they were going for defensive shotguns that probably don't have any kind of choke whatsoever, it's absolutely delivering what it says it's going to do, as for performance anyway, or spread goes. So on this one, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you rather have that little bit prettier or more uniform of a spread like the cylinder bore choke? Or would you rather have a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit less pretty looking spread like the modified or the improved cylinder group there? Let me know what you guys think or would rather have. So with that being said, let me know what you guys might want to see tested from here. I still have a few of those shells left, so should we test them at like 5, 10, 15, 20 yards and see how they do at different ranges? Or should we set up at, say, this 10 yard or 15 yard distance and maybe shoot a group and see how consistent they are with that cylinder bore choke, or how accurate they are? Leave a comment and let me know what you guys might want to see and how you want me to test them from here going forward. But with that being said, I've got a bunch more testing to film for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as a mailbox where you can send stuff to the channel if you'd like. All that information is always in the description if you're interested. But I'm going to get back to the testing for y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.